Hi guys, so Labour's Stella Creasey attacked the Tories once again on inflation, but she added that the government is planning to bring in a Brexit border tax. This of course is import costs that have been postponed a number of times since the UK left the single market. What the Tory on the panel of the Politics Live show responded with was first to ignore the extra Brexit cost it will impose, and second to talk about plans, how the plan is working. My question is, what plan, and why won't he acknowledge the extra cost Brexit is having on the cost of living?
Prices are rising more slowly. Some will have come down. But the question is, are people starting to feel better off, Stella? I'm going to start with you.
No, of course they're not, because they've got massive personal debt in this country. And as you say, prices are just rising more slowly than the kind of rapacious rises we saw in the last couple of years, where literally you go into the shops one day and something would cost 10p more than it was the day before. But the thing I don't really understand, and I heard the Chancellor earlier today talking about food inflation, is in a month or so's time, this government is about to introduce another whacking charge for importing food from Europe into the UK, which they have said will be inflationary. If the target is to get inflation to keep coming down, why is this government introducing the Brexit border tax? Because that's just going to push up food prices and increase food shortages even more.
When will people start to feel better off, Paul?
Well, listen, they just can't say, well done, can they? They can't just say that the plan...
Well done for what? What have you done? They keep talking about he's going to go on about a plan. What plan?
is working, and that's what's happening. If you look back some time ago, we had inflation at or around
11%.
10%.
It went to.
The rest of the world had huge levels of inflation as well. This was a global problem, but inflation is now down. It shows that the plan is working. Hopefully,
wait a minute. If inflation was high and it was a global problem, then how can a plan bring down inflation? Once again, if inflation has nothing to do, back last year, inflation had nothing to do with the Tories. It was a global problem. It was the ending of the pandemic. It was the war in Ukraine. It was global energy prices. So that had nothing to do with the Tory government. Then how can you say you have a plan to bring down inflation? This makes no sense whatsoever.
People will soon start to see money in their pocket, £900 off hard-working taxpayers' bills. The plan is working. We just stick with the plan. And the Labour Party, well, they've got no plan apart from unfunded borrowing.
Okay, so he of course attacks the Labour Party saying, oh, you don't have a plan. You don't have a plan either. Because if you had a plan, you would actually lay it out. You would say, this is the plan and this is how it's bringing down inflation. They never tell you because they don't have a plan. And unfortunately, the media never challenged them on that. I would love to ask this guy here, what is the plan? Can you tell us what the plan is so we can scrutinize it and see if it's actually bringing down inflation? Of course, he won't tell you because there is no plan and they're not bringing down inflation. Inflation is dropping because of global energy prices are down. Now, he will say, well, our plan is working. Well, how come Germany has an inflation rate of 2.5%? So what's Germany's plan? Germany will say, we don't have a plan. It's because of global energy prices. So what the Tories are trying to do is suggest that they are succeeding, that they have a plan and the plan is working. It's bringing down inflation, when that's just a pile of crap. Now back to Brexit. Brexit, of course, these checks are going to have to come in. This will, of course, drive up costs because European suppliers are going to have extra costs, and those costs will have to be passed on to British consumers. Britain imports about 40% of its food. So food prices are going to go up. And who's going to be impacted the most when it comes to higher food prices? The poorest in society. The poorest people who were told by the likes of Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, Jacob Rees-Mogg and others to vote for Brexit. So when people say, well, how is Brexit costing ordinary people more? Because a lot of food is imported from the European Union, and because these checks have to be carried out to protect British farming, to protect standards, these costs will be passed on. Because if they're not being passed on, then European suppliers will just sell somewhere else. And it will either result in British consumers having less choice or more expensive food. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.